Well, good morning, Don. Thank you for taking time to do this with me this morning. I know it's your first week off and you're probably pretty celebrated to start off into your retirement. I am very excited to have this conversation with you and highlight an incredible career in oil and gas. We're very excited for you and very impressed by the long career that you've had. Shall we get right into it?
Well, let's get her done. You know me, I'm excited. So
Right on. Well, let's start from the beginning. Can you give us a quick overview of your career?
well, it was interesting because when I first started at LTech, one of my first presentations, in fact, was give a recap of my history, where I've been, what I've done, who I've dealt with. So I called it the good, bad, and the ugly. And it's the truth. You know, I've worked for a lot of great companies and I've worked through some shady companies, but overall, I think it was a positive career. I had an opportunity to work for Crane Supply for 20 years of that, which was a big part of my life. And I had a chance to work for some other great companies like C. Franklin and NOV, KF, Apex, and ending with Altec. So it's been a good run. It sounds like a lot of different companies to work for, but each one was good in different ways and helped me to become a better person because of that. So, you know, a lot of people tease me. I've been in this industry so long that, you know, they talk about a 40-year career. Well, I think it's probably closer to 50 if the truth be known. And it's, you know, it's unreal when you're calling on people longer than they've been alive. So, and they're still willing to sit there and have a conversation with an old guy now. And I once was that young guy. So yeah, I appreciate them taking the time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Going back to those early days, how did you find yourself in oil and gas?
I give all my credit to my dad. Pretty tough time with him, but still, he was a hard nose, a hard worker, instilled a work ethic in me like no other, whether that be in sports or education or work life, family life, strong values. So I think that's kind of been bored into me more or less. So I think he would be the biggest influence on a lot of the decisions I made. And we would banter and talk about the industry and the oil and gas industry. And I remember we'd sit there and fight about how I thought he should run the business and I was smarter than him and all this sorts of stuff. I was like a young Micah Tima.
It's amazing how much we know when we're young.
Yeah, it's surprising. But be careful what you wish for, because when you are in the chair, there's a lot of pressure. And I appreciate what you're going through, Mike, with these difficult times in 2020, not only with your family, but the business as a whole. It puts a lot of stress on you physically, mentally, and I appreciate everything you've done for us.
Yep, certainly a year we'll be excited to move on from, but you're a part of it. The team that we've had this year and years prior, absolutely give all the credit to the fantastic people that we've been able to sucker into being part of this Altec journey. And it's been a lot of fun. It's certainly been hard, and we look forward to better times.
Yeah, no, and I think a lot of it is the people aspect of the business, you know, and really who you can attract. And I think the members of the team that we managed to attract and to grow the business, we're going to need those kind of capabilities and different skill sets in order to get through this over the hump into 2021 and moving forward. And I know we sat down and made our 5-year plan, and it's an aggressive plan. It might be a little bit on stall right now, but the plan is still in place. All we have to do is implement, and I think it's a strong strategy that'll overwhelm a lot of the industry.
Yeah, we're very excited to keep executing that plan for sure. Going back to learning and experiences, of course this one is going to be one that a year that everyone is going to learn a lot from, I hope. Going back, you've been through a couple of downturns, maybe not a pandemic, but certainly oil and gas highs and lows. Going back to the early part of your career, what's one thing you wish somebody would have told you early on?
Probably take care of my pennies along the way. I think, as far as making sure you have a nice little nest egg for that rainy day fund, especially for the young people I really feel for in the industry right now. Bright young professionals that are good at what they do but can't find the work. So, I was fortunate a lot of times to be able to pay myself. And I think that's something that needs to be done first and foremost. I think everybody takes care of all the bills and all the necessities of life, but at the end of the day, they forget to invest in their future.
Yes, that's fantastic advice. Would that be the same advice you'd give your younger self and everyone else that's younger starting out their
I
careers?
probably should have just started sooner than later. I was fortunate when I first started at, in fact, Crane, that they had a really strong share investment program. And the guy at the time was the office manager, made sure that all these young guys were just top to the top. They didn't even know it was coming off their checks. And at the end of the day, you would be surprised at the shares that were there after 20 years.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Beautiful impact of compound
Oh,
investment.
it's, you don't really understand the value of that early in your career. And it's just, it doesn't take much.
Yeah, yeah. You must have had some pretty significant influencers throughout that career. Who would you say most impacted you?
There was a couple guys, and there's two guys. One was named Cliff, and the other guy was named Cliff. And it's bizarre because the Cliff that I knew passed away. He was one of my dad's best buddies, but he took me under his wing when this young whippersnapper came in to tell him how to run a business. But still, he was a good mentor. We had an opportunity to work together. He had been in the industry probably 40 years and knew everybody in downtown Calgary. And he taught me a lot about people and business and end users and EPCs and the whole nine yards. So he was pretty influential. And another guy I worked with in a couple business was Cliff Prentice. And he was another guy with a different perspective on it, worked for a number of different supply stores as well. And he worked for me not only at KF, but at Apex. So, but it was always good to have that one guy that you could trust and you could throw ideas at and mud at the wall and what if and get frustrated. And I even had some influential guys, in fact, within LTEC. You touched me hard. Even Rod Sample, like, I'd get frustrated on a call and I'd phone Rod and I'd just like vent and he'd hear me out. And he said, "It's all right, Finch. It'll be all right. Hang in there, buddy." And then the next day he'd phone me and he'd be all ticked off about something. And I said, "Okay, Rod, we got you. We got your back. You'll be fine." And sometimes that's all you need is just somebody that you can, depend on and prompt up and talk to.
Yep, I'll second Rod as well. He's definitely somebody, especially through this year, has been a great sounding board, and of course with the experience and knowledge that he has within the company, but also life experience, through loss and everything
Right.
else. Fantastic.
Yeah, no, I had a chance to, in fact, he used to call on me and, we were ships passing in the wind at a different company, but, it's all about respect in this industry, I think. And I think a lot of young people don't realize that. They're all out there to put food on our tables and we don't have to be complete idiots about the whole thing. There's enough out there for all of us.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Can you narrow down some of the specific traits of some of those people, like your best manager or some of those people that
I think just the fact that they're honest, they're trustworthy, they're good listeners, they got your back type thing. That's the kind of people you want to work for. People that, give you enough slack to go out and do your job. They put enough trust in you with your abilities to do your job. Those are the best kind of guys to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. What are the traits of the worst kind of guys to work with? I don't want any names, but
yeah, I work for some bad ones for sure. I went through about 4 presidents in 10 years at one company. I can't say that they were all that good. I would say 1 out of the 4 were any good, but I outlasted most of them. So yeah, I used to call, he was Mr. Evil is what I would call him, but he's a pretty rough guy to deal with. But I know he'd come out every quarter and look at my P&L and he'd say, "Finch, your P&L looks like the Rocky Mountains," because he really didn't understand the industry and the ups and downs and peaks and valleys of the whole thing. So, but it was a character builder for sure.
Yeah, excellent. We love the Rocky Mountains. Who doesn't like the Rocky Mountains?
Exactly.
Excellent. Beyond saving your pennies, what advice from a leadership or a teamwork, teammate advice would you give the next generation?
Um, Believe in yourself. Don't get down. Have a little more confidence. Pick yourself up by the bootstraps. Wipe yourself off. Get going again. There's a lot more downs in this industry, unfortunately, especially from a sales perspective. There's a lot of frustration out there. You're not going to win every job. Don't take it necessarily personal, but always go back and recircle the wagons and figure out what you could have done better, not only personally, but maybe your colleagues or your company as a whole. Not all bad. I guess for some of these young guys, I'm a big believer in prep, not only for a meeting, for a sales call, for whatever it takes. You need to go in there with a purpose. And I think a lot of guys go in with no purpose whatsoever, no goals in mind, no objectives. I think those are all important traits to have.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. To your first point about believing in yourself, if I'm on the right path here, but bringing that power back within yourself. And, the amount of pressure that's on, particularly even younger people now with social media and influence and the pressure to do this or be that, it can be very disempowering if we don't have that belief and that strength and internalize that, right?
Right. Yeah. I don't know. You could quote Bret Hart. What did he say? The best there is and the best there ever was. You need to just really go after that. Make sure you're the best inside sales guy. You're the best quotes guy. You're the best sales guy. You're the best operations man. Whatever it takes. You can go up and look at that industry and benchmark yourself and scorecard your entire company against everybody else. See how you stack up and what you need to do to improve.
Yep. Fantastic. What is, let's go down the road of memory lane. Share with us some great experiences, some good ones, maybe a couple of bad ones if you're open to it. If you have any of those, I don't know if you would have any of those.
Yeah, no, there's some bad ones along the way. I think just building companies, this type of thing, taking Crane, which was a mechanical based company, to an industrial based company, which was a complete reversal. Starting up a project division at C. Franklin, which was piping resources. Opportunities like that. I think those are big things in my career that helped to improved me as a whole, taught me a lot about business. Had an opportunity to work both sides of the fence, work for an EPC, learn how those guys all tick, what it takes to get a job through there, working for the manufacturers, this kind of thing. So really, I kind of was able to connect all the dots, and we've talked about that in our meetings too. We know we have a relationship with an EPC, we have the relationship with an end user, a strong distributor in ourselves. The chances of us of winning that particular order are pretty good. And I think being as strategic as we are on certain jobs, that's the way we're as successful as we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Throughout, this long career, there's been lots of changes with technology and everything else, of course, absolutely massive changes. What has changed the most for you from the beginning of your career, but also what has stayed the same?
I think it was more personal back in the old days, to tell the truth. Whether, Edmonton was more blue collar, but everything was done on a handshake and your name. A purchase order would follow later, but you'd pull the trigger on just trust alone.
Right.
And then of course the bureaucracy starts to climb into it, and unfortunately the face-to-face interactions have kind of been reduced dramatically, especially this year. So I guess at that point you really find out who your true customers really are that really want to interact with you. I think it's unfortunate that so many of them kind of hide behind their laptops now, and nobody really wants to kind of sit down and talk and one-on-one and have a coffee with you or break bread with you or whatever that might be. But that's how you build a relationship. It's pretty hard, in fact, for me, even on these Zoom meetings, to get engagement with people. It's a hard sell, especially for me. Maybe it's easier for a younger person, but certainly it's been challenging.
Yeah, it can be. If you grew up with this technology, there's a lot of people though from different ages that are struggling right now that aren't used to this, and it's a different type, right? It's a completely different type. I'm somebody that gets energized from in person and handshakes and
absolutely.
Look a person in the eye and shake a hand. Those good old days. We certainly miss those. I sure hope they're coming back soon.
I think they will in some respect, maybe not as much as it was, but no, I think that's the biggest change for me.
Yeah. And hopefully they come back soon enough that we can walk you across the All-Tech stage and celebrate with the whole company properly.
Yeah, I can't believe you sucker me into doing this.
In the
I was
meantime,
hoping to just slide into the dark of COVID and nobody would ever have to worry about it again.
yeah, we're not going to let you slip away.
No, I noticed that. And I should have known better, to tell the truth, because there's something always that gets thrown at us at the 11th hour. Oh, by the way, this would be nice. Yeah, all right, good to know.
Yeah, yeah. Um, you've seen a lot of success throughout your years and some failures. If you could summarize, one or two reasons why some companies succeed and some fail, what would you say?
I think there's a sense of belonging, I think, with the ones who are successful. I think that once you realize what the skill sets of the various individuals within the doors are, and you can maximize those, you can be a powerful team. It's when you get all the infighting and backstabbing and all that that really kind of destroys a company. There is no I in team, so I think that if you can find yourself a good bunch of guys that you can build an industry around, you'll have a great reputation out there, and people will look at you and go, "What are they doing right?" And it's just that actually, you know what? They're probably just getting along and working together.
Yeah, yeah, just caring about each other and the
Yep.
success of the person beside you, right?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Would that be something, back in the day? Yeah, I was one of those people that, dropped a box of Denso tape off and a case of beer and created a lot of relationships that way, going back to BMW days. That aspect of it, that camaraderie and that socializing,
Right.
maybe not in that particular scenario, but the socializing aspect and the camaraderie seems to have changed over the years.
Yeah, I think it has, but at the end of the day, I don't know too many people that still wouldn't like to go and have a steak sandwich and a glass of wine. I don't think everybody's really going to lose touch of that. It's whether it's not, you're not out there to buy their business, you're out there to get to know them better and say thank you, and thank you for the support.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. What are you most excited about now? Moving on to, let's look a little bit forward, the next chapter. What are you and Ellie most excited to do?
Ellie's not done yet, but I think she'll be done in January or July. She's a pretty dedicated school teacher, loves her kids. So, but I think even in this COVID world, it's a lot for her as well to manage through. So it's probably good that I got a few months to myself to kind of figure some things out. Too much togetherness, maybe is not always that good, but we've been together for 40 years, so we'll figure it out. But I think for me, it's just more about family. Still, like, there's still a lot more things I can do that way. And I think the other one is maybe taking better care of myself, which is very, very, very difficult in a career like this. It's pretty rugged, a lot of late hours, late nights, a lot of entertaining throughout my career. And so that does start to take its toll. So hopefully I think I can concentrate, a lot more time on that. And I think that'll be beneficial, and hopefully it'll pay off. And the next time we'd have this meeting, maybe I'll be a lean, mean fighting machine.
Yeah, both of us, let's hope. And you have, so that's probably what you're most excited about. And I think that's fantastic to have that intentionality around family at this stage. One works hard for a long time. It's on to, playing and enjoying what we've created.
Right.
How many kids and grandkids?
Three granddaughters and a grandpuppy.
Excellent. Yeah, they'll keep you busy.
Oh yeah, Grandpa Don's got his bedroom down in Houston. It's already there, so they're pretty upset when they have other guests and why they're in my room. So at least I got one fan.
Sounds good. We'll have to connect down there, maybe in the middle of winter.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah. I'm on a fixed income, so I guess you're buying a round of golf, just so you know.
Fair enough. What are you going to miss the most?
The clients, the networking, my colleagues. But I don't think I'm really going to lose them, really, to tell the truth, because all the guys I call on, most of them are my friends in one way or another. Some better than others, but those are still guys that I network with after hours and on holidays and weekends. And so I don't think that's really going to change.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's important to reiterate, as we have this conversation too. You're not going anywhere. You're still going to be around
No,
for.
there's no place to hide for sure. Be nice to go and crawl away for a bit and just kind of get my thoughts and gather my thoughts. But there's time for that too. I'm okay being on my own, and I love to just sit and think and read. And so I have no problem with that.
Yeah, excellent. Well, in the spirit of gratitude and appreciating, this amazing career, and certainly I appreciate the time that you spent with Alltech. Who would you like to thank, given this opportunity, that had an influence or helped you through your career, or were especially supportive, or friends?
I look at just, some of the opportunities with some of the guys that are still in the industry, I guess. There was guys at Apex and Tundra and NOV and Midfield and MRC and just a whole raft of good people that I had a chance to either work with or compete against, and the whole thing, and they're influential people in this industry. You think about the Don Whites and the Bill Owegians and the Kenny Wallawines of the world, Garth Huber, those kind of guys, they're powerful. And, you look at the Tundra, you got Uptasa over there, you got Bolduc and Megan Ryan and Bomac, and, I had a chance to work for Mice West at CE Franklin. And, I dealt with the Endersbys when they had the midfield group. So it was different, back in the day. Crane was the master distributor, like the Altec out today. We did it all. We would supply the supply stores as well as be able to do contracts on our own. So, even some of the competitors are out there I had a chance to work with as well. Some big name guys that own their companies. And so I think it's all about respect out there. Everybody, you never know who you're going to be working for next week, to tell the truth. It's a very, very small industry when it comes down to it.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I'm very happy that our paths crossed when they did, and that we were able to crush the last 3 years together. That's been almost to the day.
Yeah, no, I've lived up to my commitment. I said I'd give you 3 to 5. I wish I could give you a couple more, but I think I made it to 3 years to the day. So I appreciate that. I appreciate everything that Altec has done for me and my family. It's been a good run, and we've managed to grow it in, a short period of time. And it's unfortunate this 2020 year came in, but I think with the amount of prep work that we've done as a company internally, we certainly didn't sit back on our laurels and whine and cry in our beer because it wasn't allowed. We tried to go in there with a more optimistic approach, more energetic, and not the woe is me approach. So I think once this whole thing busts and we're able to implement some of our strategies that we've figured out, I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Not to say that there
Then
wasn't.
you could always call me. I could probably be a consultant at that point. So
Absolutely. Oh yeah, we're not. This isn't the last you're going to hear from me.
all good, buddy.
Excellent. Any final comments here as we wrap up?
No, I think it's all been good, to tell the truth. No, I appreciate this. I was very uncertain whether I wanted to do it, but after I settled in a little bit, I think hopefully some of it is positive.
Well, I'm glad you agreed to Zoom. Otherwise, I would have knocked on your door, stood, 6 feet apart, and we would have had this on your front step. So.
Yeah, well, I've done that before too. So.
Excellent. Well, thank you for doing this, Don. Thank you for allowing Alltech and the team to be a part of your journey. I speak for everyone at the company when we say thank you. We will miss you. Your experience has been instrumental and welcomed amongst some of the younger people, and the experience for some of the older people helping balance out. It's been fantastic. And I'll go so as far to say, on behalf of the entire industry, thank you for all your hard work and the time you've put into Canadian oil and gas. I know the industry will still see you around, and I look forward to our future conversations.
Thank you, my friend. Take care.
Here's my friend.